You're listening to the DFS On Deck podcast, brought to you by LineStar, the top-rated DFS tool set and #1 companion for DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo Daily Fantasy. Go LineStar Premium now at LineStarApp.com. Now, here are your hosts, fantasy baseball experts Joe Pisapia and Chris Meaney.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and welcome to On Deck right here on the LineStar app. It's me, and it's Chris Meaney, and it's you, and we're back to the grind. It's Monday, but it was a fun weekend because Chris Meaney and I got to hang out together, and we were hanging out the Flex League, the first time we've ever been in the same room together, and for all these years, it was great fun, and we had the most epic game of RBI baseball at Barcade that will go down in the history, in the annals of all video game baseball games ever played.
What a blast. Yeah, it was great to finally, meet you. Been working with you for a few years. Yeah, it was such a good time. You showed me a great time in NYC, and yeah, we had a blast playing that game, taking Sandy Koufax deep. I think it was like 7-0 at one point. You came all the way back.
Koufax. You crushed Koufax.
I was taking him deep all night. Yeah,
that was crazy, and it was like old school games. So it had all these like throwback players at Valenzuela. It had all I ended up with the Dodgers, and who are you? The Cardinals, I think. I don't even know.
I think it was
crazy. Yeah, John Tudor was kicking my ass. That's all I know for a while. But I came back. It was an epic comeback. And then we ran out of quarters just as the wrong times. What are you going to do? But it was a great time getting ready for football season. But we're still here for baseball. Don't worry, everybody. Don't worry. I saw some panic on the internet. We're not going anywhere. No. But it was great. We got to hang out. We went to a very Seinfeld-esque coffee shop for breakfast the next day, you, me, and Mr. Seeley. So it was a good time had by all. Good to hang out. But, Chris, it's back to the grind. So you're ready to get at it today?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, so here we go. Let's start with the Yankees in Baltimore. Gabriel Ynoa at home against Masahiro Tanaka. This should be a pretty good matchup here for Tanaka. Just looking over to 8.9 on DK. His price on FanDuel is incredibly low. It's 7.8. It's one of the better values on the day. I understand Tanaka can be a little spotty sometimes. Obviously, the home runs can be an issue too sometimes. But, I mean, it's hard not to like this price on FanDuel as a standalone because there's a really good path to a win with this offense.
Yeah, for sure. We got a 6.5 team implied total for the Yankees and a 4.1 for Baltimore. And there's not a lot of stud pitchers really on the board tonight. So I like this price as well. 8.9 on DK, as you mentioned, 7.8 on FanDuel. I can certainly get behind it. I mean, the Yankees, obviously you're not going to find any value in their lineup, and they're going to score some runs. Mike Tauchman on the other side, he's starting to create some buzz. I got a few shares of him in some season-long formats. He's pretty expensive on DK, 4.7. 2.9 on FanDuel. I think that's a pretty good price. There's some injuries all of a sudden in the Yankees lineup. Edwin's out, Aaron Hicks is out. So you can take advantage of a little bit of value because they're still going to score some runs. These guys are going to get up on base. The Gardners, the Mabins, the Tauchmans of the world, they're going to get up on base or get up to the plate rather with guys on base. So they'll be able to, potentially drive in some runs. So there's some value there, of course, on FanDuel.
And I'll tell you what, man, I get people are spooked because the last two starts for Tanaka weren't good, but the two before that were 6 innings, regular old Tanaka starts. So it could just be a rough patch. Yeah, it could be a lot of different things, but this familiarity with this Baltimore Orioles lineup, I think, helps him a little bit too, for the most part. I mean, there's some newer guys in there, but still, Mancini, Villar, he's seen these guys a ton. Chris Davis certainly seen a lot in his career. So I think there's some good opportunity there, especially at the price. Again, it's a tournament play, obviously only at 7.8, trying to get the quality start, trying to get the W, maybe get 6 Ks and 6 innings out of them. And that's what you're looking for. Let's move over to Pittsburgh. We got Dario Argazal at home against Jordan Lyles. So I'm looking for some offense in this one. The Pirates hit Stroman around a little bit. He was getting squeezed in the early innings too with the strike zone. So I got to see a little bit of that Pirate offense, but they kind of woke up a little bit on Saturday, especially in that game. So I'm looking at this order again too. Starling Marte still 3.7 on FanDuel. Josh Bell at 3.6, Brian Reynolds at 3.2. That's a nice little grouping. And even Melky Cabrera at 2.4 tonight, I like as a one-off against Lyles too. What about you in the Milwaukee side of this game? What do you like or what do you don't?
Well, I definitely like some righties like Heston Hira, Lorenzo Cain, if he's going to be at top of the order. Righties have really just, they've crushed Dario, start the season. It's in a it's been a really small sample size, but a 304 average and lefty's only hitting 186. I mean, it's not that I don't think Yelich can have a good day, or Grandal or Mike Moustakas. Those guys are probably going to be on my radar as well. But interesting, Jordan Lyles, just traded from Pittsburgh last week and going to make his first start was pretty good in Oakland. And this one, I feel like he'll be decent in this outing. But I do like that call from Brian Reynolds. I think he's a guy that, you should get involved with. That 4 hits the other night. Melky Cabrera is a decent value. I don't feel like I'm going to have a lot of exposure, honestly, to this game. I know these two pitchers are nothing exciting, but I feel like there's other spots where I'd rather attack. But the Brewers should be fine offensively. You want to get involved. Travis Shaw is pretty cheap.
It's funny.
It's a tournament play only.
You mentioned that the lefty's struggling against Argazal, correct?
Yeah.
So that's the funny part to me, because you can see a guy like Travis Shaw who's at 2.6 on DK, which is a really low price. Absolutely. And that could very well be a trap tonight, even at that price. So be very careful of that, because the split is not what you think it is. So if you see it, sometimes there's that obvious, oh my goodness, let's just
a lot
go
of
there.
Lefties in this Milwaukee lineup.
Yeah, a ton of lefties in that lineup. But let's move on to the Angels today. Taylor Cole against Luis Castillo. Castillo at 10.3 on FanDuel. Over on the DK side, he's 10.1. That's a nice price for him. I would expect more on the DK side price-wise out of Castillo. I was actually a little surprised it wasn't a little bit more. But I think I roll with this. I understand that there's some guys in, that Angels lineup that are very good, like Trout and Upton. But I think he's just on a roll right now. I love what Castillo's brought to the table. He's had a breakout year. And I wrote about him at length in the Black Book this year. And even last year. And unfortunately, last year you kind of saw it only at the end. But this year, it's been outstanding. I thought he's going to develop into a Severino-type pitcher, and he basically has, of course, minus the DL stints. But look, over his last 24 innings, 27 Ks, 6 walks. He's 2-1 over that span. He's been more efficient, too, because that's the thing. It's that 6 walks. He had that walk rate up a little bit. That was problematic in the first half. But he's gotten that under control. To me, he's the safest cash game guy on the board tonight.
Yeah, for sure. And you don't even need to be worried about the Angels lineup right now. I mean, I think they've lost 8 of 10. They came out of the break and they had the 2 wins against the Dodgers, and then they lost 3 or 4 to Baltimore, 2 or 3 to Detroit, and they got swept by Cleveland here. And they're not scoring any runs at all. Justin Upton's actually been pathetic in that lineup. So Castillo is a really solid play today. I like him in cash, like him in tournaments. And I think you can maybe even get involved with some Reds here, too. I mean, Patrick Sandoval is going to come in after Taylor Cole. He's making his major league debut. His walk rate is through the roof in the minor leagues. It's flirting with a 6 per 9 through 60 AAA innings.
That's not
good at all. So our Steez.
Well, that makes me love Votto tonight, because if there's one guy we all know who loves to walk, it's Joey Votto. So at 3.3 on FanDuel and even on DraftKings at 4, that's a guy that I think I would dance with tonight because of that. You're talking about a guy who walks too many guys. Well, guess what? Give me the guy who walks a ton, and that's Joey Votto. For sure.
And Aristides Aquino is a guy that Cincinnati just called up. Obviously, they lost Puig. There's some injuries in that lineup. They're looking for, there's some kids that are going to – this is the time of the year, right? We're seeing it today on the slate with a lot of pitchers that we haven't seen yet pitch in the major leagues, and teams are giving guys shots. Like the Pirates are going to do that. The Reds are going to do that here. So Aquino is, 28 home runs in AAA so far in Louisville this season. He hit a home run on the weekend. 3.6, somebody who's got some power in his bat. So, I mean, I think the Reds might be, 5.7 team implied total for the Cincinnati Reds. It's one of the highest team implied totals we've seen from them all year long. So I think, get involved with them in tournaments.
Yeah, I absolutely think so too. And you're right. This is that time of year now. This is that last win, especially now after the real trade deadline. Now it's the trade deadline. So that means that things will be a little different now. So you might see some more kids kind of pop up earlier. Whereas teams that might, not be sure what's going on, they're kind of hanging around August waiver wire deals. That's gone now. So now that's gone, you might see some of that youth transition a little earlier for some of these mid-level prospects too. Maybe not the high-end guys because you don't want to start the clock, but there's going to be opportunities here with Price, especially on a lot of this. And I also wouldn't neglect Peraza too, who's a free square in that game. He's just 2K. I know he's not thrilling, but at 2K, that's a lineup builder along with Castillo tonight. Or any cash game pitcher you want to go with that really makes sense. All right, Mike Minor taking on Aaron Savale. I hope I'm saying that right. I believe it's Aaron Savale. Right?
I think you're correct. Yeah. I mean, it does. It rolls off your tongue nicely there. Savale.
Hey, Aaron Savale. What do you do? I smack at your face. But Mike Minor, I think that this is a good spot for him here. Obviously, we know now this lineup is a little bit more loaded. They've got some more right-handed bats. Does that give you pause here with Mike Minor at this current price that he's in the 9K range? Over his last 23 innings, 27 strikeouts, 8 walks, you get 29 hits, so he has been a little bit more hittable. It kind of gives me pause a little bit because of the fact this is a different, you could kind of throw out any stats or anything like that, but and the Indians out a little bit from the first half because it's a very different lineup now because you got Lindor back in it, obviously, over time. You didn't have that at the beginning. You got Puig in it now. You got Luplow, who's been better. You got Franmil. It's a much deeper lineup. I actually kind of like the Oppo love for Cleveland tonight against Mike Minor.
Yeah, Minor's been. I think he's been brutal. I mean, he's
Yeah.
allowed 3, 7, 8 homers in his last 4 games. He's allowed at least 4 runs in 4 straight starts. So, I think we mentioned this last week with him when he was going up against Seattle. Even though there were a lot of lefties in Seattle's lineup, I still didn't like Mike Minor because he just looks a little fatigued. He's starting to come back down to earth. The ERA 3.2, the xFIP is 4.4. Like we're starting to see, that regression. So. Yeah, I'm not definitely not in on him. Luplow is interesting. He has hit lefties really well this year, and I think he's, with the additions of Puig and Reyes, he's just going to be a platoon guy, but, he's going to move up the order when he faces a lefty. So he's interesting. Jason Kipnis, that lefty is not great, but this is just an example of how good this lineup is and better it is now because Kipnis had a really good weekend against the Angels and he's getting in the 8 spot potentially. So Cleveland's a decent stack, and I think one that people won't be on. So again, tournaments, low owned, and I would really attack Mike Minor. Home runs, 20 of them, and like I said, 9 in his last 4 starts. It's gonna be some fireworks here tonight, Cleveland.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly there, and I want to point out Willie Calhoun too, a guy who's been pretty hot lately as well. Getting that second win there over his last 10 games. The guy's got 3 dingers, 11 RBI, swinging a hot bat. He's walking a little bit too, which is nice to see. So that's a good value too.
You love the FanDuel price. You love the FanDuel price. Odor
the
too.
FanDuel price at 3.6. Come on.
Yeah, and I think Odor had a couple home runs over the weekend. He's only 3.2, so you can get involved with those 2 guys definitely.
You like the over in this game?
I do. I
with the 9.5.
Yeah, I just don't like Mike Minor. So I think Cleveland can do enough. And what do we know about Texas? They're not facing a lefty, right? So I mean, they should be able to score a couple runs.
I like both sides of this one, man. I mean, it's hard not to like. Again, we keep driving it home, but look, we want to make you money on the FanDuel side. It's a little bit easier. So Franmil at 2.8, Puig at 3.1, Calhoun at 3.6. There's a lot of values to be had in this game for sure. On the DK side, it's hard because Calhoun's all the way up to 4.8, and what does that always tell you? That you're getting a huge discount on FanDuel on that guy. Whenever you see guys that are almost 5, and then they're 3.6 or 3.2 on the FanDuel side, the algorithm's good for them. You're getting a discount. Franmil's 4.0 on DK, and on the other side, he's under 3. I mean, it's crazy what you're getting out of there.
Ridiculous. Doesn't make any sense.
Let's continue on to Kansas City. We got Mike Minor taking on Rick Porcello tonight. Porcello is imminently hittable, so I'd like to get involved a little bit here in this one as well. Whit Merrifield, too expensive for me on DK, but not too expensive for me on FanDuel, 3.5. Like him there. Also, you get Hunter Dozier at 3.7. That's a pretty good return. But really, I mean, we got to go back to the right-handed hitters in this lineup against Montgomery. By the way, too, I saw Devers go yard in that Yankee game. Did you actually make it to Yankee Stadium that night or no?
I did, yeah. It was a great
how was
time.
That experience for you?
Awesome. The atmosphere was phenomenal. It really was. And I know it was because it was Boston and New York, but obviously there's a buzz.
So you saw
the
Devers home run live. I saw it on TV.
I saw it live. Yeah, he's just been so good all year. Yes, and Gleyber Torres hit 2 home runs in that game, and almost a third. It was like an inch away from it hit the top of the wall. So, yeah, the atmosphere was electric. I was up in the up in the 300s in the outfield, and
with
it was
real
great.
fans.
With the real fans, yeah, it was great. I was, I'm not a Yankees fan. I'm not a Red Sox fan. I was pretty,
No,
really
I've been to Yankees, Red Sox, and I'm neither.
Yeah.
It's still a good environment. It's still fun.
I was cheering for everybody. Everyone that was getting home runs, I was up loving it. Yeah, who is that guy? Just cheering for both teams. But yeah, no, it was a really good atmosphere. And the Red Sox, I thought about Porcello for the win, but I was looking really deep into his numbers in game log. He just hasn't had any good outings this year. Like, he really hasn't. There was one against the Twins, which was remarkable that he went 7 scoreless against the Twins and struck out 8. I mean, that was the weird one, but everything else, this guy is just getting hit around at least a home run now
Yeah.
in 6 straight outings. So again, we're talking about sneaky little tournament stacks. If you're a multiplayer, you can go the Twins way, but Red Sox is where you want to go. I mean, JD Martinez, we talk about him all the time against a lefty. Xander Bogaerts has been crushing lefties all year. Those are the 2 guys I like a lot, and I will throw Sam Travis's name out there again. Hit the 5th spot yesterday. Last night, Sunday Night Baseball, I didn't do anything, but at 2-4 on the FanDuel side, you just want to get a piece of the Red Sox offense. It's a 7.2 team implied total. They're expecting some runs today, and Sam Travis is only 3-4 on DK.
All right, let's move on here. Charlie Morton at 10-1 on FanDuel. Over on DK, he's 10-7, so a little bit more expensive. Look, it's a great play. There's not much to say about it. You got to choose basically between him and Castillo. If you want to vary it, that's fine. I think both are very much in play. Morton's probably slightly safer, so I'm okay with that because of the youth of the Blue Jays lineup. I just think that there's a little bit more to be had there. The trouble is, same thing. I don't love this Rays offense. And now we're back into that place where the guys I like in the Rays offense are now overpriced. So anything else to add on this one? Because I feel like that's kind of it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Morton he's fine. He's been, not himself lately, but he's fine. I don't mind rolling him out.
So Morton or Castillo for you tonight?
Castillo for me. The Jays, Guerrero, Biggio, Bichette.
Oh no, they've hit well, but I mean,
they're all right.
They had some good setup there.
They did have some good setup. Yeah,
I
do feel like
2
Morton
starts
will
ago
be
against.
fine.
Look, the last start against the Red Sox wasn't good, but that was the second one in a row. The one before they struck out 11 guys. So I'm going to lean Morton as the slightly
Morton
safer
over Castillo.
option. Yeah. I'm going to go Morton over Castillo, but I like them both. So if you want to play them both out there and do different ones, that's fine. I think both will cash. I really do.
How about this next guy in Lucas Giolito? Is he too expensive for you at 11?
Nothing. I want nothing to do with him at 11. Yeah. I don't know if I want anything to do with it at 9-8. Do you? Against the Tigers? Tigers been much better.
Either.
You talk about Brandon Dixon at 3K. Talking about Miguel Cabrera at 2.7. I'm telling you, I'm out completely on the White Sox, especially with Moncada on the DL. Not the same lineup without Moncada in it at all. So hard pass there. Second game of the doubleheader, you got Walter Lockett and Robert Duger going off there. So I would expect some runs for the Mets and Marlins in this one, but be very careful in that second game who's getting trotted out there and, who played in the first game. So just check lineups and everything like that. See if McNeil is back in the lineup too. I don't think he's going to play both ends of this game. So just pay very careful attention to that. Chris Bassett and Kyle Hendricks. Hendricks coming off a really good outing too. I like Hendricks at home at 9-3. I think this is another good tournament play. Fade a little bit. Look at the last start there, 7 innings against the Cardinals, 7 strikeouts. So for me, he's back in play against the A's because you're taking that DH out of that A's lineup, which I like.
Yeah, and 1.89 ERA at home over 62 innings is a pretty good sample.
Really good at home.
Yeah, I mean, opponents only have a 241 WOBA against him at Wrigley
Field. And he's 9-3 on DK
average.
too. I mean, he's a terrific value on DK tonight.
And I don't think people will go that way because he doesn't strike out a lot of guys, only 107, 120 innings, and the A's don't strike out either, but this is a lineup that's kind of scuffling just slightly. So Matt Olson, he's I don't want to say too many negative things about our boy Matt Olson, but he has had a little bit of a rough patch. So Hendricks is definitely interesting tournament arm.
All right, Soroka versus Odorizzi. This one is probably one of the matchups of the night that if you get it right, it can pay, and it's going to be a lot of different ways it can go. Soroka's 9-1, Odorizzi's 8-1. That's the DK price. The FanDuel price 7-6 for Odorizzi, 8-1 for Soroka. They're basically tempting you to go with Odorizzi, and I don't hate it. The problem is both these offenses are very good. So I think that for me personally, I prefer Hendricks tonight, fade this game altogether, and maybe go the other route, maybe kind of get pieces of the offense. What do you think?
Yeah, it's Soroka's going up against the team. Like the Twins they just make so much contact. They have so much power.
Well,
I don't want to
stack them. Terrific too. Like, it's very difficult. Like, I feel like you just kind of, they're like tempting you with the pitchers, but I think you just go with the offense in this game.
Yeah, I don't want to go with Odorizzi for sure. Like I don't want to roster him. He's got his fly ball rate is is through the roof. So I don't want to go that way. And like we've said about Soroka all year, it's just he's great. He keeps the ball on the ground. Defense behind him is fantastic, but he's going up against a team that doesn't strike out and they make a lot of contact. And they're great. Like look at Nelson Cruz. It's unbelievable what this guy is doing. They went in the National League. He didn't play. I think he had like 6 homers in like 5 games or something stupid. He went in the National League, didn't play, and then they switched the series over the weekend in the American League, and he's hitting dingers again. Like he's just on a wicked run. So I don't want to have any exposure to any of these pitchers. Like
I said though, when Rosario comes back in that lineup, it makes a big difference, and that's the thing. You see that difference.
I like Eddie. I like Freddie Freeman. Josh Donaldson's got a
Because
hot
when
bat right
Rosario was
now.
out, Cruz went in a cold spell.
Yeah,
It's
he
not an
did.
accident. I
No,
mean, those two guys together.
you and I are on the same page. We talk about lineup protection a lot.
Yeah,
You
very
know, a
important.
lot of people think that's not important at all. It's not a thing. It is a thing. I mean,
All right. Are you dancing at all with the Phillies and the Diamondbacks, Velasquez and Merrill Kelly? I don't like it. I don't trust the Phillies lineup. I don't care that Corey Dickerson's there. I don't care that he's a value. This does nothing for me this game at all. How about you?
yeah, no, I think we
It's
joked
got a
about Corey
10.
Dickerson's
It's
price
got a
last time
10
for it.
over under. I'm taking the under in this one.
If I could choose a pitcher, I would choose Velasquez. That would be the way I would go. I definitely don't want to go Kelly. And you're right. You're rolling the dice with the Phillies lineup. You just don't know what to expect. But Kelly
Well, that's
is
the thing.
allowed.
It's like you look at the over under and you go 10. Well, those two pitchers aren't very good. But you know what? The offenses aren't that great either.
Yeah. If there is a way I would go, it would be the Phillies side. I mean, Kelly's allowed 14 runs in his last 2 outings and 5 homers, and those
Maybe
were
I'm being
against
presumptive. Maybe I should rethink. I don't know.
only
I'm just
because
frustrated.
I agree. I would you can't play them in cash. There's no way that you can play the Phillies in cash. We've been saying that for a couple of months now, but Kelly played Baltimore and Miami in his last 2 outings and given up 15 hits, 14 runs, 5 homers, and he only has 8 strikeouts. So
Yeah, all right, never mind. Take the over. I'm just mad at the Phillies.
But I don't know about the over. Like I think Velasquez could be a sneaky little play at 7-8. I think he could be all right.
All right, the last two here, we got Jeff Samardzija and Eric Feedy. The Nationals taking on the Giants there. Good situation there for guys like, Juan Soto at 3.9 is a nice value for sure over on the FanDuel side. You mentioned the second half of Brian Dozier coming along a little bit, 2.6, Robles at 3. Those are really good value guys tonight in that batting order. And then in the Dodgers side, you got Waka against Gonsolin. And I'm looking at Max Muncy at 3.5 on FanDuel. Nice pricing for him. Justin Turner as well. Those are two guys at the top of that order. They're really good situation. And even AJ Pollock at 3.4 has been pretty good since he's been back. So to me, these last 2 games, it's cherry picking a couple guys more than it is trying to look for a whole grouping. And Paul Goldschmidt has been on fire. So he's been terrific. So if you look at the price there, he's 4.4 on DK. He's just 3.9 still on FanDuel. So there's still a little bit of value there with him. Did I miss anything from these last 2?
No, I think you nailed it. You got in Pollock there, and I think that was important. Pollock and Turner, actually, those are the 2 guys. I mean, right-handed bats, 15 homers, 327 average, 4.05 WOBA against Michael Wacha. So the lefties are going to be fine as well. I mean, both lefties and righties have an extreme high hard hit rate against Wacha, but righties have really crushed them. So that's where I'm looking.
All right. So betting lines, now that I've come to my senses on the Phillies game, even though I think I'm just mad at the Phillies all year. Every time I think they're going to break out.
Yeah, no, you're right. And this would be another spot. This would be another spot where you
they would disappoint you, right? It was like, Merrill Kelly, that's an easy one, and they disappoint you. But what won't be disappointing tonight?
Well, the Reds, I don't think the Reds will be disappointing tonight. Now, they're minus 205 favorites. That's a lot. You're not getting a ton of value there, but I do think you can pick them by 2. I think the Angels are completely checked out right now. I like the Yankees by 2, and I think that will I will actually go with the over 10.5. It's high. I don't think Baltimore will get a lot of runs on Tanaka, but I think the Yankees will do enough in that one. I like the Red Sox by 2. I like Tampa by 2. There's a lot of heavy favorites, guys. Like, you're not going to get any value by betting the Yankees straight up, Boston straight up, Cincinnati, or Tampa. You're going to have to pick some teams by 2. But if you're looking for some value, you can go with the Cubs at home. Minus 155 is a pretty good spot. The Phillies on the road, minus 109 is a pretty good spot. There's a split in Minnesota and Atlanta. I'll just stay away from that game. And then I like the Dodgers at home, minus 161.
Okay, it's time to call our shot, and I'm going to go into Boston tonight. I'm going to go at the top of that order, and I'm going to go with the Mook man. Mookie Betts for me tonight against Mike Montgomery, the lefty. I think he's good. Maybe we'll get the leadoff home run. I've had a couple of those.
Yeah, we
could certainly do that. That would be nice, but I think it's a night for Mr. Mookie, and I think that Mike Montgomery is not long for this game. Not that Rick Porcello might be either. But look, at the same time, I think Mookie's a good bet. I just made a bad joke.
All
right, enough of that. All right, Chris Meaney, please save us.
Oh, baby. Yeah, the Red Sox are my favorite stack of the board tonight. I'm going to head over to Atlanta and a guy that was really good to us last week, and just because we all called him Freddie Freeman.
Oh, you're dipping your toes in the Freddie Freeman well yet again.
Going back to Freddie Freeman. Listen, I mean, Odorizzi, a 48% fly ball rate. Last year was 49%. His hard hit rate's at 44. I don't look at this 3.7 ERA and think that this guy is a really good pitcher. He's not.
All right, so there you have it. That'll do it for us today. You can follow us on Twitter at LineStar App, at LineStar MLB, at Joe Pisapia 17, and at Chris Meaney. Make sure you're keeping attention from the pre-snap show with NFL. That's going to be starting up this week. We'll be seeing some tweets coming out for that, so make sure you're following that around. Start getting your football preview ready to go, and get your Fantasy Football Black Book 2019, #1 in fantasy sports on Amazon for a reason. That'll do it for me and Chris Meaney. We'll see you next time, kids. There's nothing left to do except step out of the on-deck circle and into the batter's box and go yard.
You've been listening to the DFS On Deck podcast, brought to you by LineStar. Hit subscribe, tell a friend, and stay tuned for the next episode from fantasy baseball experts Joe Pisapia and Chris Meaney.